Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Steven from Eau de Treasure. Thanks for coming back to EDT. I live in Japan and I'm finding some amazing things, some really cool fragrance finds, and I just thought I'd make some videos about it. So that's what my channel's about. That's what this video's about. In here, this is a vintage fragrance that I have had I've had my eye open looking for this one, and I finally found it. I bought it. I got it. This is a video about Giorgio Beverly Hills Red for Men. This is the modern rendition of it, and in here is a vintage bottle. So I'm going to spray each hand. I'm going to spray a hand with the vintage stuff. I'm going to spray the other hand with the modern stuff, and I'm going to see what the differences are, if any. Then I'm going to let it dry down and come back and finish the video later. So I was really excited because this is a cheapie. This is a classic. I'll tell you all about it. Let's get to it. Let's open this up right now. Giorgio Beverly Hills Red for Men. For this one, yeah, I paid around 2,500 yen, which is something like $18, $18 or $19. And that's close to what a new one costs, but it's hard to find a vintage like this. All right. I like it when it's packed in these like saran wrap and cardboard. I think it's really sturdy and secure. It's a good way to ship fragrances. So let's take a look at the bottle here. Red for Men, Giorgio Beverly Hills Eau de Toilette. Let's see the condition of this thing. So it's not exactly brand new, but the bottle is fairly clean. The cap's a little bit, you can see it's a little faded, a little worn on top. Let's see how much is left inside. What kind of a bubble do we got? Look at that, pretty small bubble. So this thing is like, what do you think, 97, 98% full? So this is a 100 ml bottle. Let's look at the bottom of it. All right. So here is, let me show you why I think that this is a vintage bottle. I'm not 100% sure. I looked on eBay. I did a little bit of research looking all over to see what a vintage bottle looks like. And the earliest one I saw looks just like this. It's got a sticker on the bottom with the information, but it says copyright 1991, Giorgio Beverly Hills. So this was made in 1991, and it actually has an interesting story. Giorgio Beverly Hills, I'll tell you real quick what the story is. Giorgio Beverly Hills was founded by, it's a boutique, it's a very unique fashion boutique on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, California. And it opened in 1961, and that was before Rodeo Drive was a big deal, like it is today. And the owner was, Fred Heyman was the guy's name, who had this idea of opening up this fashion boutique. And then 20 years later, in 1981, they came out with Giorgio Beverly Hills for Men, just the original fragrance. That's the most famous fragrance. And then this one came along 10 years later, 1991. So that's kind of the basic story of Giorgio Beverly Hills. So that was the first time that a small boutique had its own popular fragrance. And in the 80s, the Giorgio Beverly Hills for Men was a big deal. It's just famous and well known from that time. And I have a vintage bottle of that. I just don't have it. Like, I got that a few years ago, and it's long packed away. I don't have it here to show you guys. So let's look at the bottle, what the modern bottle looks like. Actually, just really quickly, look at the box. The box still looks like this, by the way. The old box and the new box, the modern box, looks very similar. So that's the batch code, right? 2CA1. Let's look at the bottle. Let's put this in the shot. All right, so you can see it looks almost exactly the same. This is a 50 ml, by the way, but look at that. It's almost exactly the same. That's cool to see that they haven't changed it that much. But the bottom is different. You can see the batch code on this one, 2CA1. And you can see how the design of the sticker is different. So it's clearly, this is a modern one, and this is a vintage one. Now, I don't know if this is in the 2000s or if this is in the 90s, but these vintage fragrances that I'm finding in Japan pretty good bet that this is from the 90s. So I've seen a couple on eBay that look like this, and the seller claims it's a vintage bottle. The only difference is this W1Y1LB. On some other ones, it's just like that. That's the difference. So let's see. A lot of the comments say on Fragrantica that the original one, is very different. The modern one is just a shell of its former self. I mean, there is almost no performance on this. In an hour, it's gone. If you don't know about this fragrance, guys, this is a spicy leather fragrance. It's like a fougere, aromatic fougere that is leaning towards a spicy leather type fragrance. There's bergamot in it, but the citrus is very muted. And like I said, it's a love-hate relationship. So I recently saw a review online. I looked at some of the YouTube reviewers since I picked this one up and was just waiting a day or two to get this in the mail. And one of the reviews I saw was from a channel called Sense of South Jersey. And that's a Kellen. And I like his videos because he talks about classic fragrances. And I saw his review for this, and he absolutely hates this one. He says that this one is just horrible or terrible. And I thought it was funny. He just goes off on this thing. He says that the smell of this is what he can imagine the smell of the house in The Silence of the Lambs smells like. So you remember that movie? Remember that guy? I think is the killer in that movie. I think his name is Buffalo Bob or something. And he's got this filthy, dusty house where he brings people and he kills them so that he can skin them and wear their skin like a suit. It's a crazy movie, guys, if you haven't seen it, but it is a classic movie. You got to see it. That also came out in 91, the same year this came out. So it's a coincidence, but as funny as it is to hear a Kellen equate the scent of this fragrance to the smell of some serial killer in a movie's house, it makes you think about how people perceive fragrances. So it's one thing to smell a fragrance and to smell the individual notes. Like this one has something called artemisia and caraway and leather and oak moss. You know, it's one thing to recognize those smells, but it's another thing of how it makes you feel, right? So there are a lot of people that think that this smells amazing. Like this is right up their alley. And then there are other people that smell this and think it's just putrid or horrible. It was actually surprising to me to hear Kellen say that, because that he's somewhat of I would consider him not a pro, but like a veteran of classic men's fragrances. So I just thought he might smell this and say, it's not really my thing, but I can see why people like it. But he took the road of, this is awful, don't even touch it. I smelled it before, and to be honest, I like it. I understand what it is. It's a spicy leather fragrance. When I smell it, immediately I think of the color red. It's really appropriate. I mean, it really does smell like what the color red might smell like, right? In a classic men's cologne. So let's go. Let's do a initial spray. Oh, that's not a good sign. The sprayer cap just went flying. All right. So let's hit this hand, because there's nothing on it. There we go. 2 big blasts on my left hand and 2 big blasts on the right. All right, let's smell what we got here. Let's get some whiffs of this classic juice. All right, off the bat, the modern one it's missing darker notes that I pick up from the vintage one. The vintage one does have this musty, dirtier smell to it, and that's kind of like that dusty, dirty house that it's been referred to. You know, I don't look at it like that. I look at it as a kind of like a positive thing. Like an artist created this, and they wanted it to smell like that. Taking whiffs now. This one is just a tiny bit, I almost want to say sweeter. So which one is better? It's like, take your pick. This one is just missing some of the darker notes that that the vintage one has. And the vintage one, it's just kind of, there's more depth to it. I would suggest this one is kind of a cleaner one. somewhat safer to wear that other people would like it. It's not, this is not a compliment magnet, guys. This is one that you wear because you like the scent. It is kind of old school. This is one that you wear at home if you want to just lounge around and enjoy it. Yeah, because I don't want to walk around smelling like this. I just don't want to have that grandpa smell. But I respect it and I like it for what it is. And like I said before, it's funny how people perceive these scents, you know, like somebody who hates it, who's smelling it for the first time or after a week has one opinion. But this could be like some grandpa or some dad's signature scent for a decade or two. And a guy like my age in his 40s or someone in their 30s smells it and immediately just remembers their dad or grandpa and has warm feelings from this and really likes it or loves it even. So you never know how people would perceive something like this. All right, so I'm going to come back in about an hour and just tell you how I feel about comparing the vintage Red for Men and the modern Red for Men. All right, we'll come back. All right, guys, I'm back. Actually, I've been away for a few hours. I went and watched a movie with my girlfriend, and now I'm coming back to finish this video, put some finishing touches on this video. So how do they smell differently now that it's been a few hours? This is the vintage version. This is the modern version. The modern version has faded a lot. I can't really smell it that well anymore, and this one is still there. So the vintage one is a little bit stronger, I mean more long-lasting, and it does smell darker, and it's a little bit, I don't know how else to say it, but like dirtier than this one. This one is cleaner a little bit, but the smell, I mean, it's like 90% the same, 95% the same. So this is a real cheapie, guys. You can get, this is a 50 ml. I saw this on Fragrance X. It was like $8 or $9, and the 100 ml is like $15. So it's a real cheapie. You know, finding the vintage one, you're going to spend a little bit more, but this isn't like a $200 fragrance. You can get a vintage one for like 30, 40, or 50 bucks maybe. It's just not that high in demand. And just to compare this spicy leather fragrance to another one, I sprayed this on my arm over here just to smell it, just to compare another well-known classic spicy leathery fragrance, just to compare them. And guys, this is a vintage bottle for possibly from the 70s. If you want to see my video, I made a video a while ago about this one. You can click the link up here. I'll put a card to my video about this vintage Aramis bottle. But I'm smelling it right now, and the Aramis is a little bit even softer. You could pick up some florals in there, where this is really rough. So if you're looking for like a really rough leather, kind of like I said, like a dirty leather fragrance, go for this one. And I'm not saying it's fantastic, but I like it. I appreciate the artistry in making this. Another thing that attracted me to trying this one out is because how people say that this is somewhat like a vintage bottle of Pateau pour homme. So that is like so rare. People are paying 500 bucks for a bottle of Pateau pour homme. So that is one of the higher priced vintage fragrances from the 80s, 70s or 80s. I forgot when they made it. But if this is anything like Pateau pour homme, what are the differences, guys? You could tell me in the comments. What do you think of Giorgio Beverly Hills Red for Men? Do you think this smells like Pateau pour homme? Because I actually have a bottle of Pateau pour homme. I have the privé version of that. Again, that's long packed away. I got it a few years ago. Yeah, it smelled nice, like a classic fragrance. I just don't see why anybody would spend that much money on it. The difference between this and Pateau pour homme, is that worth an extra $400 or $500 if you can get this for, let's just say, a vintage bottle for 30 bucks and the Pateau pour homme is $400 or $500? I don't see it, guys, but of course I'm not made of money. If I was made of money, I would just get the Pateau pour homme. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you liked this video where I showed you a vintage Giorgio Beverly Hills Red for Men and compared it to the modern formulation of it. And yeah, this one is better. It's stronger. Performance is just a little bit better. Not that much different. This one is fine for the price. Just overspray it if you really like it. And that's it, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see more, click the video tab and check out what else I have on my channel. that I've made in the past 7 or 8 months since I started this channel. Hope you guys like it. Leave a comment down below, say hi, and tell me what you think of this video and what you think of Red pour homme. All right, I'll see you in the next video, everybody. Have a great day and take care.